Alright, so Metal Hellsinger VR just landed on both Quest 2 and Quest 3, and I wanted to share my thoughts on the game. But first off, thanks to Meta and Lab42 for giving me a free code of the game for me to review. With that out of the way, this game, once again, like other recent Quest ports on the store, is a mixed bag. And like other platforms, the Quest versions of games usually can't lean on just good graphics alone. Trust me, I'm as tired of loving the base concept of the game, but in terms of the quality, falling extremely short. Just from looking at the gameplay alone, graphics aren't a strong suit of this game at all, even on Quest 3. And in the second half of the review, I'll include Quest 2 gameplay. No comparison this time around for Quest 3, as it's an RMA for hardware failure and stuck in a boot loop. But I managed to export some of the gameplay beforehand, and at first, while booting up the game for the first time, I'm going to keep it a bug, I got flashbacks to the Foglands and Arashi Castle of Sin. I was like, not again. And if you remember those releases, yes, this game graphically looks horrendous at the start, but I gave it a chance, and it goes without saying the soundtrack does so much of the heavy lifting, as without it I probably would have stopped playing the game altogether. But before getting to my opinion, thoughts, and overall review of the game, let's start off with the basics and head down the list as we go. Metal Hellsinger VR is a first-person rhythm shooter, so as you hack and slash demons in the underworld, you have to shoot to the beat. In doing so, you unlock multipliers, and the higher the multiplier gets, the music starts to unfold, from a simple 1-2 beat to unlocking the full soundtrack with vocals. As simple as it sounds, the gameplay loop to me is quite addictive. Inside the campaign, Hellsinger includes 8 different levels, 9 including if we're counting the tutorial, with varied environments to feel different but a bit repetitive near the end of the game, as every level is pretty much identical as you encounter a boss level at the end of the stage. Included are 4 types of difficulty. Mary had a little lamb, goat, beast, and all the way to archdevil. I completed the game in the beast difficulty, which at times presented challenges but nothing I could shoot my way out of. And in the difficulty, you're only given 1 life per stage, and if you die you have to restart all over again. Early on, I won't lie, it took me a bit of getting used to, because while a big emphasis on the game is shooting on beat, with the increase in difficulty, staying on beat is much harder and volatile to disruptions, as sometimes whether it's the beat or indicator in front of you, landing on beat isn't quite as easy as other traditional rhythm games. But instead of trying to stay on beat with the little indicators in front of you, I found it that the best thing to do was go into settings, turn them off, and just shake your head to the beat and enjoy the music. You'll find the flow eventually. At the start, it makes you take a calibration test. This is a title you do need to plug a set of headphones for, as I did this setup multiple times, and if you don't do so, you'll always exceed over 100 milliseconds of delay or more with the built-in speakers during calibration. Even with the calibration test, the music still feels a bit off, but like many other rhythm games, you don't have to be spot on at every tick. Included are 2D cutscenes that play before entering the portal and 3D cinematics. The story is very straightforward. Your voice is stolen, you talk to a sentient skull, and you plan to seek revenge, slaying as many demons as possible. I did look at the PC trailer to get a bit of background on the game, and no, it doesn't include a horde mode or a skill tree. Pretty bummed to learn it's missing some content. There's customization options to your character, but nothing out of the park. Now let's talk about the weapons. Included in the base game is a sword you'll often use to acquire green crystals, which is used to replenish your health in the game. The crystals are also located throughout stages of the level: a shooting skull with infinite ammo, a shotgun, dual revolvers, an explosive crossbow, throwing sins that basically act as throwing knives, and 2 other DLC weapons that in my opinion should have been in the base game: a machine gun and a bow and arrow. And if you're thinking about getting the game or you already have it, I highly recommend getting the Dream of the Beast add-on for the automatic gun alone that costs about $4, and it comes with free cosmetics. Sucks that even after spending $30 you have to go out and spend a bit more on the DLC so you can more comfortably enjoy the game. The pricing though is similar to the original game and not done by Lab42 themselves, as the DLC weapons make everything flow a little bit better compared to the other weapons, as melee weapons in this VR port feel absolutely horrible. I made the effort to use some of the available melee weapons, but their implementation is lousy at best. Using melee weapons made me hate the game with my soul. At no point did I want to use melee weapons after that. They don't feel impactful and are by design weightless. It doesn't need the full-on Boner Labs physics system, but a bit helps to add to the immersion. You're also limited to a weapon wheel, and you must equip your loadout before entering each level. It's fine, but while in stages of a level, when you need to quickly swap out of a weapon, it becomes unresponsive at times during key moments. The machine gun from the DLC is what I stuck through my entire playthrough and intermittently changed to the shotgun for style points. Everything else for the difficulty that I played at felt like a chore to use, and reloading requires you to flick your controller up or down, which is cool, but a bit finicky at times. In terms of variety of enemy design and variation, it's quite limited to 11 in total throughout 8 levels. The enemies range from these harmless demons you can shoot safely at a range, from behemoths rushing you to end your perfect run. For me at least, the most difficult encounters were these green things called stalkers that shapeshift anywhere, and if there was 2 of them at any given time, movement was key to evade them. Fun challenge, including the siege behemoth that at times scared the absolute heck out of me, dealing AoE damage, and if you get too close and far away, shooting projectiles that you need to dodge. Cool character design, and once you get into a flow and rack up multipliers, I felt unstoppable. While playing, admittedly, I did have fun at times blasting my way through hordes of demons. The current state of the game is rough. I don't immediately dislike the game, but at $30 I don't love it either, because even as great as the heavy metal score is, and that's coming from someone that generally never listens to heavy metal, on one hand I adore this game as someone that has thousands or so hours in Beat Saber and hundreds in games like Smash Drums and Ragnarok, and I'll most likely give Hellsinger VR a try when it comes out to PCVR, but on the other hand, the gameplay slash visuals is begging for more. Optimization is all over the place with inconsistent frame rates as it does use application space warp. The more enemies on screen, the more uncomfortable the experience becomes. I'm personally not a big fan of any games that use application space warp, but it's a trade-off whether games make use of that extra compute budget. And in Hellsinger, anyone with a pair of eyeballs can tell that yes, objectively it looks bad, and the hellish landscape carries that same black and red monotone look. My favorite levels in the game were the brightly lit areas, as it helped a ton to see what was actually in front of me. Games using application space warp vary a ton. Some developers use it as a means to up the resolution, up the enemy count, or increase the draw distance. In this game, it genuinely feels like the bare minimum requirements were met to get this game out before the holidays, as the implementation is lazy. Moving, jumping, dashing creates ghosting artifacts, and for intense moments it's like experiencing double vision. Things don't quite feel as snappy compared to a game running at a native frame rate, and considerably affect the experience given that it's a fast-paced game. Application space warp at one point would drive and allow for games to run on Quest at a much grander scale, but as a design choice for a rhythm shooter reliant on timing, this feels out of place. This game is a bit finished and needs a lot of work, and one part I do like and something I could highlight is that the game settings compared to other releases includes many options, from adjusting the player height, immersive reload for guns like the shotgun that require you to cock it back during gameplay, adjustments for all kinds of audio settings, various indicators to help you stay on beat, reticle adjustments regarding opacity and their color, and other stuff to check out. Regarding performance on Quest 3, it runs fine most of the time. Targeting 72Hz with reprojection does feel rough. When there's multiple enemies on screen and visual effects, performance does tank even without recording, so optimization still needs a bit of work. Metal Hellsinger VR is still a Quest 2 title at the core, but on Quest 2, in order for this game to run, the largest detriment to the experience is resolution. Everything at a distance is filled with tremendous amounts of aliasing and jaggies that looking at the game becomes unbearable. Granted, most fights are close encounters, and generally as you begin playing, it's something you end up forgetting about. Games ported to Quest that depend on realistic graphics like this one always take the biggest noticeable hit. Then in terms of visibility, some environments are darker than others, which is the biggest giveaway, showing this game was done in a hurry, apart from the lack of VR mechanics, interactivity, and performance. All that to say, Metal Hellsinger VR joins the list with Hitman 3 VR Reloaded and so many other titles on Quest of being another missed opportunity to create a hit. It's worth avoiding for now, as in the reception and reviews barely scraping double digits, which is extremely low even for a platform like Quest. As a soundtrack, this is phenomenal, but in terms of an actual game, no, not really. Yes, it's a rhythm game and repetition is part of the experience. The enjoyment is baked into the difficulty itself, but it feels like the bare minimum amount of effort was made when porting the game over to Quest. At times it works, and I had my fair share of fun with Metal Hellsinger VR, but hopefully we receive updates or visual improvements to Quest 3 in the future, and I could create a follow-up video. But a rule of thumb, never, especially with games, rely on what it could be in the future or what it can deliver in a future content update. This game is slated to release for PSVR 2 and PCVR PCVR on October 3rd, so I expect at least an update of some kind. To end the video, like always, that's my review of Metal Hellsinger VR on Quest. Once again, thanks to Meta and Lab42 for providing a code for me to review, even though this review was a bit critical. Down in the comment section, let me know what your thoughts are. October is incredibly stacked in terms of game releases. Hopefully my Quest 3 comes back in time. Subscribe for more, leave a like or dislike down below, and until the next video, see ya.